Division dispatches.
Meetings and time wasting. I'm sure we could all argue they go hand in hand. We've been sitting there pulling our hair out wondering when it's going to end. Let's make sure we're not the cause of that. Whether you're a new trustee or a seasoned veteran, or you've sat on a number of boards but you're new to the school board, there's always a few reminders and helpful hints that we could use. This is the chair's job description from 30,000 feet, to serve and to lead in focusing and facilitating the work of the board. Just like trustees who work for and represent the public, the chair can be said to be doing the same for the board. And who better to start us off with some of the pitfalls than John Cleese in his well-known video, Meetings, Bloody Meetings. Let's take a look.
Why can't you do your work while you're at work?
There isn't time. I have to go to meetings.
Do you think it would make things easier if I came and slept at the office?
Why don't you come and sleep at the meetings? Everyone else does.
Timothy James Brown Smith, you're charged with chairing without due thought and preparation. How do you plead?
I think I'm supposed to be in a meeting.
But this is a dream.
Sorry I'm late. These are the bloody planning. On and on as usual.
What are we talking about this morning?
Well, we better talk about that first. I'll do an agenda. Item 1, the agenda. Well, I always think it's very useful to get together like this, you know, just to see if...
Is there any point in having got together?
What?
I think you'd better tell us what the charge is.
Well, I haven't given it that much thought, quite honestly, my lad. You know, things been a bit hectic down the station this week. I thought we could sort of work something out when we all got together.
Second charge, failure to signal your intentions to the meeting.
Can we take item 1 now?
I am taking item 1 now. Improving company communications.
No, Ron, it's not the computer, it's the telephone.
What?
Look, every time we try and get through down there, they're engaged.
What?
No, it isn't.
What?
Well, what extra maintenance will they need? What'll it cost?
Well, I can't tell you off the top of my head.
Look, the point of putting this on the...
It's a fake. The painting is a fake.
Oh!
Did he sell it?
Definitely not, below.
Third charge, negligent ordering of agenda and criminal misallocation of time.
Look, I want to take this order if we can, okay? It's McKenna, so if we can do this one, they may come back to us. Ron.
Well, I think we're making a mistake.
Look, I'm sorry, it's 10-2 now, right?
Yes, well, if we hadn't wasted 45 minutes discussing the bloody park...
That was urgent. The park opens on Monday.
Fourth charge, not being in full control of your discussion.
My problem is that people are still going sick on Fridays and Mondays.
What your lads need, Ron, is a bit of discipline.
It depends on what you mean by discipline.
Well, I'll tell you what I mean by discipline. Nailing a few of them to the front gates. That's what I mean.
Shut up, Marcus.
I've got a hunch we did him about 5 years ago for forgery, or it could have been arson, but he thinks he was taller.
And it was forgery.
No, never.
Didn't anyone write down what the judge said?
Well, we all thought we knew what had been decided. Next item.
What?
To discuss and decide exactly what it was that we did discuss and decide at the last meeting.
Do you know some of those time wasters? Preparing in advance can avoid a lot of aggravation. First and foremost, ask yourself if the meeting is really necessary. Is what you're doing aligned with your strategic direction? Define the objective and communicate it clearly. Test it with the question, are you doing the right things versus just, are you doing things right? If it's the latter, you might want to look up the book Fake Work. Agendas need to be prepared and distributed in advance. Prior to the meeting, communicate the asks. What trustees or administration will be required to contribute. Send necessary material, let people know if they will be asked to vote, and assign homework if needed. Make sure all materials are available for each agenda item so you're not running out in the middle of the meeting. All materials should be thoroughly reviewed by everyone in advance, as it will not be reviewed at the meeting. Let's look again at some of our time wasters.
Only a meeting. Well, we all know meetings can be a complete pain, but we also know you can't run an organisation without them, and sometimes they really work if everyone round the table knows what they're doing.
Sorry I'm late, everybody.
Of course, it's principally the chair's job to make meetings work, but they can't do it on their own. Everyone has to do their bit.
Right. Any more action points from the last meeting?
Oh, yeah, what about enlarging the shop?
We've dealt with that.
Right.
Revised budget.
What revised budget's that then?
The one, Jeremy, I circulated with the agenda.
Oh, yeah.
So I thought if we went to all the schools and laid on an exhibition for all the school leavers, because, you know, some of
Jeremy,
Yes?
could we have just one meeting?
Oh, sorry. But, you know, this is all very well, but if the chair is against you... I've got a nephew, he's, what, 20 now? Left school when he was 17. Yeah, I mean, he's never done a proper job in his life. You know, he's just come back from Suriname.
What's this got to do with recruiting nursing assistants?
Why is she against you?
It's item 9.
We don't get the full training in...
We're coming to that.
Health and safety.
Jeremy,
Gonna come
it's
down us?
item 9.
We may not get there, that's all.
We certainly won't if you don't shut up.
Okay. I have no idea. Yes, can I just say something?
No.
Oh, come on. Don't you ever listen? I said there are other staff who can cover during emergencies.
There's nothing like a happy and united management team.
We just can't afford to have staff sitting around drinking tea half the time just in case there's a panic.
It was Matthew who lost his temper.
A panic? Oh, of course, because we're only talking about people's lives, aren't we? And I was forgetting you've got one of those newfangled computers, you know, one that can push a trolley into an operating theatre. Maybe even do the operation.
Enough.
And this program shows how everyone can help to get it right.
Wow, I hope you don't have that guy on your board. Let's take a look at a few things that you can do during the meeting to help you stay on track. With a well-prepared agenda, you will have allotted time frames. Stick to them. There's a couple of don'ts I'd like to share with you. It's not necessary to have long, detailed preambles to each agenda item. Don't allow rambling off-topic tangents, and when the debate seems to be going in circles, just call for the question. For example, if a board member has decided to put a controversial item on the agenda without letting anyone know in advance, it's an issue that requires a lot of debate and decision. If this is the case, then the agenda can have the item for debate, but decision is reserved for the next meeting. If there is information requested for a meeting, the administration can't guess. Spell it out. Allow for debate, but manage the agenda with appropriate time allocated and stay on topic. Motions can require more than one reading, as it could give time for trustees to survey their constituents. There are procedural rules for meetings: in camera, committee of the whole, questions, debate. If some of these aren't followed, it can become chaotic. Let's look at a few challenges. Address with new trustees how to get an item on an agenda. Have you ever used a consent agenda? Routine items and resolutions can be grouped under one umbrella and don't need discussion before the vote. As the name implies, there is general agreement on the procedure. Examples might be office reports, routine revisions of policy, standard contracts that are used regularly, confirmation of using a traditional in-house contract with a new vendor, signing authority for a bank account. It helps to know the procedural rules, and you might want to refer to Robert's Rules of Order just to brush up on those. Some other challenges are walk-on items, ambushes, and those sidebars. Delegations. Does your board have written policies around delegations? Look at the time allotted, issues, how to get their visit on the agenda, and who can speak are some things to consider. Take a look at your delegate policy and make sure it's not a time waster. Listen to your fellow trustees. If they've made the point, let it rest. As a chair, if it appears to be the same, ask if there's a new point and to get to it. If the meeting includes a presentation, only vocalize what is not included on the presentation. Otherwise, hand out the presentation notes and ask people to read them on their own time. And as I mentioned before, sidebars. Everyone needs to focus on the topic at hand. It's not part of the agenda to repeat things you've missed. If decisions are going to be required, come prepared to make a decision and let everyone know that there's going to be a decision that has to be made. This is both in terms of having enough information on which to base a decision and also make a decision and move forward instead of continuously referring it back to committee or administration. If you've assigned work to a committee, you need to communicate expectations for the work and trust that all the work has been done. You can question, but there's no need to review all the detail of the work. This is a newer area as our use of technology continues to evolve. It's great having laptops, iPads, Blackberries, and the like at your meeting, but the only thing you should be tapping into on these devices is meeting material. Are you spending more time tweeting in the middle of a meeting what is going on in the meeting than focusing and contributing? Lastly, test your equipment beforehand and come prepared with backups, flash drive, projector and laptop that are compatible, or even hard copies. Video. Thanks for spending time with me, and try not to pull John Cleese on your board.